Tonight, charges laid in the death of a BC Mountie, but still few details on the fatal shooting. The father of 6 recognized for his bravery.
Someone went to work, didn't come home.
A community pays tribute to a life cut short.
I just wanted to be here to show our love and support.
Credit and debit card users tapped out.
I think that everybody should have a bit of cash on them.
A nationwide outage leaves customers in a pinch.
When I'm using debit, it's sort of simpler.
Plus, a picture-perfect moment for a 9-year-old.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
The jaw-dropping father-son orca image captured on camera.
Okay, look at.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
Good evening. Less than 24 hours after a decorated veteran of the RCMP in British Columbia was killed in the line of duty, a 25-year-old man has been charged with murder. 51-year-old Constable Rick O'Brien was shot dead yesterday morning while executing a search warrant in a Vancouver suburb, where, as CTV's Ben Nesbitt reports, tributes for the lost officer, husband and father are pouring in.
A somber day at the Ridge Meadows RCMP detachment where a memorial is growing fast. Dozens of police officers and community members stopping by to pay their respects to Constable Rick O'Brien, some overcome with emotion.
I'm just sad. Someone went to work, didn't come home. His a wife and kids. You know? Why?
The RCMP says O'Brien and colleagues were executing a search warrant at a Coquitlam apartment building Friday morning when an altercation broke out. 2 officers and the suspect suffered gunshot wounds. All survived except O'Brien, who was pronounced dead on scene. 25-year-old Nicholas Bellamar has now been charged with 1 count of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder with a firearm.
Today is a heartbreaking reminder of the courage and the risk every officer carries as they serve their communities each and every day.
Police say Constable O'Brien spent all 7 of his years in the RCMP in Ridge Meadows, where he earned an award for bravery shortly after he joined. He's survived by his wife and kids.
It hurts. It hurts a lot of people.
O'Brien is the second Mountie to be killed in BC in the last year. Constable Shaylin Yang was fatally stabbed while responding to a call in a Burnaby Park last October.
When police officers are killed, it's an attack on everything that's good in our society, and it's, the public should be upset about that, rightfully upset.
The National Police Federation's Benevolent Foundation has launched a GoFundMe to support O'Brien's family. Back at the crime scene sits a few bouquets and a candle, just feet away from where the fallen constable took his final breaths. BC's police watchdog has launched its own investigation to determine if the officer's actions were justified. As for Bellamar, he remains in custody and is scheduled to appear back in court in early October. Ben Nesbitt, CTV News, Vancouver.
Tensions are still high between Canada and India. And today, the most populous country in the world ramped up the pressure. CTV's John Vinavali Rao reports.
The latest move by India was shown by local news outlets after a government counter-terror group reportedly swooped in and seized properties owned by the founder of a U.S.-based separatist group called Sikhs for Justice. Your destination is India. Earlier this week, posted a video telling Hindus to get out of Canada, a video widely condemned.
Between agents of the government of India.
It all follows the explosive allegations leveled against India and its alleged potential involvement in the murder of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who was gunned down in June outside a Surrey Sikh temple. India considered him a terrorist. And in the Indian village where Nijjar grew up, a notice has been put on a home saying his properties have also been confiscated. While Nijjar's uncle praised Prime Minister Trudeau for standing up to India. For the sake of one ordinary person, he says, Trudeau did not need to take such a huge risk for his government. Our Indian leaders would never do that, no matter what. Tensions between Canada and India remain sky high after a week of tit-for-tat responses, many hoping cooler minds will prevail, But experts say it could take time.
It's too early to look for off-ramps, but I think it's not too early to think about how to ensure that each side does not ascend a few more rungs on the escalatory ladder.
India has long accused Canada of being soft on Sikh extremists and separatists. Earlier this year, pointing to a video appearing to show a float in a Brampton parade, glorifying the assassination of Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi in 1984. She was shot by 2 Sikh bodyguards after allowing the deadly storming of the holiest of Sikh temples. The opposition and BC's premier have called on Trudeau to provide more details about what led to the accusation against India. But this former CSIS analyst worries it could expose confidential sources and methods.
I kind of wish he hadn't said this publicly, but it dealt with this sort of on an inside way, but it's out now.
Meanwhile, the U.S. says it expects India to work with Canada in the search for accountability in Niger's killing. Sandy.
Thank you, John. After a week of intense negotiations, it appears Russia is leaving the annual UN gathering of world leaders no closer to the prospect of peace. Before departing New York, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov dismissed both Ukraine's proposed peace plan and UN proposals to revive the Black Sea grain deal, calling them not realistic. Well, chaos this afternoon across Canada with a nearly 2-hour network outage that left stores unable to process credit card and debit transactions. It had customers frustrated and highlighted a potential weakness in the ever-expanding digital world. CTV's Kevin Gallagher has more.
As Saturday shoppers set out across the country, many counting on credit or debit left disappointed.
At the end of the day, consumers were not able to complete transactions and merchants weren't able to collect money.
The Moneris payment network crashed for at least 90 minutes, affecting major retailers like Indigo, home decor giant IKEA, and even prompting a travel advisory from BC Ferries. With plastic payments down, concern grew on social media. This small business owner says, down on our busiest day of the week is a major hindrance. Another responded they lost a $500 sale because of the network outage. The cause of the payment problem is still being investigated, but Moneris says there are no indications this appears to be cyber attack related. Still, there are major impacts as the company services more than 325,000 businesses across Canada, processing 3.5 billion transactions a year.
I think this speaks to a bigger issue. As our world has become more digital and as we rely on these systems, it is important that we really think about contingency plans.
Last year's Rogers network outage caused by an update gone wrong cut service to more than 10 million Canadians, even blocking emergency calls. While today's pay terminal malfunction was short-lived, it showed how fewer Canadians are choosing to carry cash.
Some people that work in a society that, they don't even get a paycheck. It goes directly to their bank account and everything's done virtually or online.
Tonight, Moneris says its network is functioning normally again. But some tech experts want federal rules to force companies to have system failure backup plans. Sandy?
All right, Kevin. We're learning new details about a tentative contract agreement between the Ford Motor Company and 5,600 auto workers across Canada. The deal offers wage increases of up to 25%, as well as upgraded pensions and investment to support the transition to electric vehicles. The union says it's the largest negotiated general wage increase in Unifor and CAW history. Voting by union members wraps up Sunday morning.
We are the union, mighty, mighty union.
And in the U.S., a strike by the UAW against Detroit's Big Three is in its second week with little progress. The union wants a 4-year wage increase of 36%. The companies have offered about half that amount. President Joe Biden will travel to Michigan Tuesday to join workers on the picket lines. Well, tens of thousands of Quebec's public sector employees hit the streets of Montreal today to demand higher wages and better working conditions. The protest came as contract talks with the province are stalled, and its 4 major unions are threatening a full general strike. CTV's Matt Grillo now on the Government Workers' Common Front.
They call themselves the Common Front, a combination of several unions representing public sector employees who work in schools and hospitals. Many have been without a collective agreement for months.
we're going around in circles when there's no progress being made. Talks are happening, but no progress is being made.
They want an increase in salary and improved working conditions, but another big concern is employee retention. The unions say Quebec is tough at the negotiating table.
They're not presenting us anything good. The salary is 9% over 5 years. That's not even a point to start the negotiation.
Many healthcare workers say keeping staff is increasingly difficult.
Les gens quittent pour le privé.
Workers are leaving to go to the private sector, she says, and she points out it's even harder to recruit in the regions outside of major cities. Quebec's Treasury Board President Sonia Labelle says pressure tactics like this from unions is normal. She goes on to say she wants a deal in place as quickly as possible, and no one wants to see an impact on services.
The government just gave themselves 30% of raise this year. They offer 21% for the Sûreté du Québec, and they turn around and give to our people 9%. This is what they are offering.
Equal work, equal pay.
Amongst the sea of protesters, lawyers for the Department of Youth Protection. They want equal pay compared to their colleagues at the Crown Prosecutor's Office.
We're looking at getting equal pay because our counterparts from the DPCP and from Legal Aid are receiving significantly more.
A massive protest could be just the beginning of pressure tactics. If negotiations don't pick up, there could be strikes across several sectors, with potential serious consequences on public services. Matt Grillo, CTV News, Montreal.
4 people are lucky to be alive after their 2-story house caught fire. Police in Vancouver say it was caused by a suspected drunk driver whose car blew past a roadblock and smashed into the home, hitting a gas meter. Fire crews were unable to fight the flames until the gas was turned off. Now, earlier this week, we told you about 4 firefighters who were killed in a highway crash on their way home from the front lines. Today, one of the first responders was laid to rest. CTV's Ben Milger reports.
Led by fire engines, this long line of vehicles carries family, friends, and colleagues of Blaine Sonnenberg Jr., one of 4 firefighters killed in a crash on the Trans-Canada Highway as they returned from a 2-week deployment on the front lines.
Really was heart-wrenching.
Lillian LaFaux didn't know Sonnenberg, Kenneth Patrick, Jackson Billy Boy, or the 4th man killed. Still, she's organizing a vigil for them in her community of Chase, where she was on evacuation alert this summer and has great appreciation for the work firefighters do.
I was standing on my back balcony here and I could see the flames and just, it was scary.
Several dozen firefighters took part in the procession for Sonnenberg that began at a funeral chapel and ended in his home community on the Stahelis First Nation. To respect his family's wishes, we did not record a somber singing and drumming ceremony that took place as Sonnenberg Jr.'s colleagues carried his casket to a waiting vehicle to begin the trip to his final resting place. The 4 firefighters killed in the crash all worked for Tomahawk Ventures, a private firefighting company. The youngest of them, Jackson Billy Boy, was just 19 and had graduated from high school in June.
I think just talking about them and remembering the good memories really helps. I've got a lot of support too.
6 wildland firefighters have been killed in BC this season, and hundreds remain on the front lines trying to contain the fires, some of which have been burning for months.
They go into the bush, and each time they step into these, fire zones, they are risking their lives.
Tragically, sometimes they don't make it home. Ben Milger, CTV News, Chilliwack.
Coming up, sparring with an airline.
They are very heartless. They had no feeling at all.
It's over a refund denied. Plus, a tropical storm brings rain, wind, and high waves. Tropical storm Ophelia has roared ashore in North Carolina with winds just shy of hurricane strength. Drenching rains tore down trees and knocked out power to tens of thousands. A powerful storm surge turned streets into lakes. The system is now slowly gliding north along the U.S. East Coast. Southern Nova Scotia is expected to get some light rain when the system passes through. Well, a BC man has found himself in a frustrating standoff with a travel company. He had to cancel a dream vacation when he lost the love of his life to cancer. Now, as CTV's Abigail Turner reports, fighting for a refund has left him reeling.
2 tickets to an all-inclusive Mexico vacation, a holiday no longer on Mario Agnalo's calendar. His spouse, Art, of nearly 25 years, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer after the pair had already booked their Sunwing vacation.
It went into his liver, stage 4. I decided to call the trip with Sunwing and let them know what was going on and that we needed to cancel.
Art lost his battle and passed away 1 week ago. Agnello left fighting for a refund now even more.
They turned around and said, "I'm sorry, sir, but there is no exception. Whether you're living or dying, we will not try and give you back your money. We will give you vouchers."
Agnello purchased the Worry-Free Plus $200 insurance policy, but the fine print says the refund will be paid in Sunwing travel credits. One airline expert believes in cases like this, there should be exceptions.
In terms of humanitarian considerations, obviously, this passenger should be getting back their money. But capitalism is not about humanitarian considerations, it's about profits.
With funeral costs and mortgage increases, Agnello says getting the nearly $6,000 refunded is crucial.
I need to pay the bills, not vouchers.
With no choice but to accept the vouchers, it's been weeks and he still has not received them. Another detail in the fine print, they must be used within a year.
They are very heartless. They had no feeling at all.
Sunwing did not respond to multiple requests by CTV News for a comment, a disappointment felt by Agnello, who's still holding out hope he can get his money returned. Abigail Turner, CTV News, Vancouver.
Still ahead when living space is limited. The unconventional, untraditional tiny home. Could you live there? Affordable housing is top of mind for millions of Canadians, particularly in bustling downtown big city neighborhoods. Now a Montreal developer has come up with a creative way to add some square footage. The catch, not everyone will feel comfortable squeezing in. CTV's Vanessa Lee explains.
Third-year engineering student Taysir Nejum is slowly getting settled into his new home.
I actually bumped my head like 3 times already.
This 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom pad is smaller than anywhere he has lived before. Spread out on 3 stories, the entire living space is just 350 square feet.
First thing that came to mind is how am I gonna manage to work in this place? It's really small. And the only thing that came to mind, where am I gonna put a desk here? But then I discovered that I actually have a desk here.
Located steps from Montreal's Concordia University, the units are part of a project aimed at finding creative ways to maximize housing spaces downtown.
The construction was just finished.
A real estate developer has transformed century-old brick structures that long served as back staircases into 6 tiny homes.
We took the stairs that were the fire escapes for the front and we moved them outside so that we could then use this space, which was a great space because it was a brick structure. So it had the bones that we needed to kind of rework the interior. Otherwise, they would have just been a lost space and it would have been a missed opportunity. So we added these drawers and the stairs.
Lexa Serafini helped design the units and says it's all about making efficient use of the limited space. And it was tricky. The first couch she chose was too big.
It was like more of a modular couch, but it actually didn't fit up the stairs. So I found this couch that came in 3 pieces that we assembled once it got up here. We inspired ourselves from, kind of like an RV bathroom.
There is no doubt this is no traditional home.
At the beginning, I thought, okay, so I'll live here for like a month and then maybe I'll find somewhere else. But I believe now I'm liking it, actually.
Simple and minimalist, challenging people to live with less. Vanessa Lee, CTV News, Montreal.
And And a couple of polar bears are also moving to simpler quarters. So today, staff at the Assiniboine Park Zoo in Winnipeg said a bittersweet goodbye to these local favorites. The two males, Baffin and Siku, are moving to Calgary Zoo to live out their lives. They were found as orphaned cubs wandering around Churchill, Manitoba, and spent 7 years at the rescue facility. After the break, a Kodak moment. The whale watching the whale watchers. We leave you tonight with a father-son outing that started with a search for orcas and ended with a whale of a photograph. A spy-hopping face-to-face encounter that left them blown away. CTV's Adam Sawatsky has our story.
Finn Nelson will never forget the day his dad asked if he wanted to go see a whale in the wild.
I went like, okay, let's do it.
So he and his dad, Joe Nelson, started searching along the shoreline after hearing a pod of orcas were in the area.
We actually might see these for the first time because we'd never seen them before.
At the same time, nature guide Ewan Luella was searching for the same whales along with a boat full of tourists.
And it was not really focused on taking pictures.
He did get this shot of harbor seals that day, but as you can see from his past pictures, Ewan's seen countless orcas at work, along with grizzlies, wolves, and otters.
My biggest concern was taking care of the customers.
Well, Finn's biggest concern was making sure Joe's camera was ready, telling his dad this could be a big deal.
You're going to see your first whale.
But as you can see from their video,
look at.
the father and son ended up seeing their first few whales.
Oh my God, oh my.
There's a little baby one there.
Oh!
The tourists on the boat, Ewan says, were equally in awe.
Sometimes you just see their mouths opening up and they're pointing and it...
So Ewan started pointing his camera from the water, just as Joe was recording this video on the shore.
Oh, look at...
And if you ask Finn to recall his reaction,
Oh my God.
how he was feeling at the time,
Oh my God.
and we can see the boy's not embellishing, because he and Joe were captured by Ewan's camera while watching that whale, just as the whale was rising from the ocean to seemingly watch them.
It was an incredible photo. Like, how often do you have somebody taking a photo of you with a whale in the foreground? Well, taking a picture of the whale with you in the background is how I should say it.
But no matter how you say it, Ewan is offering to gift all the people in this photo a framed copy of his picture just to be kind.
I take pictures because I enjoy, not to get recognition.
And now Finn and Joe will always remember how it looked. That day, they'll never forget how they felt.
I got to see my first whale with my dad, and it's my actual, best memory ever.
Oh, look at...
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Saanich.
Amazing, right? That is our newscast for this Saturday. Thank you for sharing your time with us. I'm Sandy Ronaldo. Heather Butts is here tomorrow. Have a good night, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast.